Right-wing commentator Candace Owens went on Joe Rogan's podcast and proceeded to make all thinking people want to shove their head in a meat grinder when she spoke about climate change.
I fell victim to the idea that, like, it was progress. We have to care about the environment. It was progress. And it's like, no, like, we've been losing. America has been losing. And Donald Trump understood that in a way that I didn't. And
you don't think we have to care about the environment? Like,
no, not even a little bit. Like,
not even a little bit?
No. Okay, let me clarify this. I don't throw trash on the ground. Like, okay. I'm not saying, like, we need to, like, trash the environment. Like, but do I believe in climate change? No.
You don't believe in climate change?
Well, I think the climate always changes, I guess is what I should say. Do I believe that this is like, an issue that is being, that is global warming, which they've changed conveniently. They got rid of the word once scientists started disproving it. Now they only say climate change. No, I think that was just a way to extract dollars from Americans. I don't at all believe. They had no actionable plan. It was great for Trump to get out of that deal. It was terrible.
Okay, but this is an incredibly complicated subject.
Right.
And if you would have to talk to a bunch of different scientists and see how they gather data and see what they understand about CO2 levels and what's the danger of them and what can combat it and what could not. Have you done all this, or do you take this flippant opinion based on the party line?
This wouldn't be the hill I died on, right? But it's not about the party. I just genuinely, I've read a ton about it, but I would not be able to come to you and say, like, this is my strong opinion. But here's, like, the easiest way to say this, right?
Okay.
The fact that there is a disparity in the science community about whether or not it's real is enough to.
It's very little.
Yep.
Very little disparity. Most scientists, the vast majority agree that human beings are negatively affecting climate change.
Yeah.
The vast majority.
Yeah, I just don't think so.
So you think that the very few scientists that disagree with the consensus are the ones that are correct? In 2014, the vast majority, 87% of scientists, said that human activity is driving global warming, yet only half the American public ascribe to that view. So,
well, what website is
87%, and this is
Scientific American.
Yeah.
Yeah, .com though, like, 'cause that means it's making money. I don't trust that. If it was a .org, I would probably take that. But this is just a random website, and I don't trust.
Scientific American is not necessarily a random website.
I don't believe this, like, at all, just so you know.
You don't believe it, like, at all?
I genuinely don't believe it. I know you do, but I genuinely don't believe it.
I believe most of the time the consensus of scientists that are studying the data.
Right.
And so what they're doing is
studying. But do you remember all of the stories that came out about the scientists that said that when they tried to present their evidence to show, like, they were basically just getting shut down at every corner? You can pull that up too. Like, scientists who look up the opposite. Right? Instead of looking for what you're searching for, looking for what you're not looking for.
I didn't search for it. That's what I found when I searched it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, look up.
But this is my question. Yeah. Why are you so sure? This is
because what you just said. Because what you just said.
This is an extremely complicated subject.
And it is. I said I am not so sure that I would die on the hill for it. The one thing you'll always find with me is I'll never pretend to be so educated on something. Like, I'm not going on college campuses talking about global warming. I don't do that.
Right, but why are you saying that you don't think it exists?
I don't know. Maybe because it got because it got so politicized.
Studies into scientific agreement on human-caused global warming, and look at all the studies. It's between 100% and 91% at the lowest. 91% of one of the studies from 2014.
This is the Union of Concerned Scientists.
Yeah, it's a pretty broad consensus.
Who are they polling? Is it the people that are a part of this .org? That's what I'm asking.
10,306 scientists to confirm over 97% of climate scientists agree, and over 97% of the scientific articles find that global warming is real and largely caused by humans. Right. So my question to you is, if you want to step outside of the scientific consensus, which is vast and involves 10,306 scientists, and just say, I don't believe in it, even if you're right, you don't have enough information to say that.
Right. No, but that's what I said. This is the whole point. But
you're saying you don't believe it.
I don't. Yeah, I would have to have someone sit down and convince me that it was real. I personally don't believe it. That's okay.
But why?
It's good to start at a place of not believing something.
No, it's not.
You think you should start with believing everything.
No, it's not believe either or. Not believe yes, not believe no.
Yeah.
But don't say you don't believe.
Yeah.
learn about it.
Yeah.
Learn about it and then have an opinion. But you're stating this opinion without having any real understanding of what climate science is.
But that's exactly what an opinion is. I'm not going, like I said, if you said that, Candace, you went on to 10,000 college campuses and you said that global warming wasn't real, then we'd have a problem. You and I are just having a conversation. But if you and I are having a discussion, sorry, I don't believe in it. Like, I don't know what to say.
I would say
open to learning.
Okay.
Open to learning. I'm always open to learning. I've been wrong before. I was a liberal 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. So that's not a problem. I'm open to learning, but I'm not gonna pretend say something that feels inauthentic. And what I wanted to say there was I don't believe in it.
I've been wrong before. I was a liberal 2 years ago. I mean, dripping with rank partisan tribalism. That's what that is right there. And what's so funny is that you didn't see all the conversation there, but in the rest of the conversation, she goes on and on about how, the problem is the science has been politicized. By who? You're politicized. Right now, you're in the middle of politicizing it as you decry the politicization, did I say that word right? Of science. And then what a weird distinction of listen, I'm not an expert on this, so I wouldn't go around and give speeches on college campuses about how climate change isn't real. But you're on a podcast where millions of people are listening, and you said that it's not real. So what do you mean? What a weird distinction. Nope, it is not my position that climate change isn't real if I was speaking on college campuses. But it is my position on a podcast where millions of people are listening. That's the same thing, because you're communicating this idea to so many people. And, Joe Rogan is being a lot nicer about it than I would be, because my position is very simple. I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert. Joe Rogan is not a scientist. Joe Rogan is not an expert. Candace Owens is not a scientist. Candace Owens is not an expert. But the scientists, of course, by definition, are experts on this, and they all seem to have the same goddamn opinion. But beyond that, the tiny fringe, the smidge of scientists that don't have that opinion, they are the ones who happen to be funded by the fossil fuel industry and all of these industries that have a vested interest in denying the existence of climate change. See, this is something that's happened on the right for a long time now, where what they do is they flip the conspiracy. So their argument goes something like this. Well, no, I don't believe in climate change, and the reason I don't believe in climate change is, look at all these scientists and the grant money that they get in order to continue to do their research on climate change. So in their mind, big science is a thing, and, those ruthless, greedy scientists who are fighting for... By the way, guys, these grants are like 40 grand, 50 grand grants. Not a lot of money, I have a cousin who used to be a scientist in the U.S. He left the U.S. He went to Europe because he said we were so underfunded, we couldn't do studies that we wanted to do. So, stop and think about that, guys. Stop and think about that. The idea that these scientists are greedy and they're just fighting for these lucrative $40,000 or $50,000 grants, and so they have an incentive to tell you climate science is real to keep getting that grant money. So effectively, it's a conspiracy of big science and Democratic politicians. That's the heart of their argument. Now, again, what's more likely? The 98% or so of scientists who don't make a lot of money are all in on this conspiracy, or the 2% of scientists, who, by the way, make a hell of a lot more money than government grant scientists, the 2% of scientists who are funded by fossil fuel companies are part of what is effectively a conspiracy. The idea is you raise enough doubt about climate science, and then those fossil fuel companies win. Because if there's doubt on climate science, then we don't take policy action, which means there's a permanent stalemate, which means big oil keeps making money, fossil fuel companies keep making money, natural gas companies keep making money, and mission accomplished. So, and here's how we know for sure that that's the reality, that it's more of a conspiracy between the fossil fuel companies than there is a conspiracy of big science. Big science. Here's how we know that's true. A lot of the same researchers who are pushing this idea that climate science isn't real are the same researchers who in the 1980s literally argued in front of Congress that we don't know whether or not cigarettes are addictive, and we don't know whether or not cigarettes cause cancer. I'm not kidding. The same scientists who were out there saying, hey, look, needs more study. We don't know if cigarettes cause cancer. We don't know if cigarettes are addictive. I mean, it's an open question. Those same guys, totally discredited, are now taking money from fossil fuel companies and are now pushing the idea that climate science isn't real. So she's fundamentally uneducated about this topic. That's the bottom line. And I think it says a lot about her position when she has to go into the mental gymnastics to try to disregard Scientific American. Wow. That's some Olympic level bullshit right there. I don't trust it. It's because it's a .com. What? That's, oof, man. I'm almost impressed by how big a line of bullshit that is. So, and, final point is, forget even polling the individual scientists to ask them, hey, what's your opinion on climate change? Let's talk about the actual studies, the peer-reviewed studies, because that's what really matters. That's the hardcore science. And on that front, it's even more conclusive. There was a meta-analysis done a few years ago, and something like 99.8% of the actual studies on climate change say it's happening and it's largely man-made. So, yeah. I mean, hey, I don't want to be too much of an asshole here, but the bottom line is this. Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, these are people who are simply repackaging standard right-wing arguments for a millennial audience. They're young, they're energetic, they're attractive, they talk fast, so they dupe over a decent number of people. But ultimately, they're working backwards from their conclusion. Their conclusion being Republicans are right and Donald Trump is awesome. And it's pretty clear to see because the opinions are down the line in that direction.